This week we are talking about a very, very serious topic for your Camino, particularly if it's going to be your first Camino coming up. We are talking socks. And why is that so important? I'll explain coming right up. So if you watched our video from last week, I talked about the sort of top 5 priorities, I think, in terms of having a successful Camino. And number 1 was looking after your feet, and I talked about footwear, and I promised that I would do a video on footwear and socks. So this week, it's all about socks. Now you might be wondering, why are socks so important? Well, along with your choice of footwear, you need to make sure that you've got the right sort of sock regime going, because if you haven't, your feet are going to be uncomfortable and you may end up with the dreaded blisters, which you want to avoid. I'm going to have to stop saying this, but touch wood, I haven't had any blisters yet in 2,000 kilometres on the Camino. I'm going to get them next time, I'm sure, but hopefully not. So let me talk about why socks are so important, and I want to share with you a tip on socks which may sound a little bit odd, but it works for me. Okay, so we'll put a link up here to a video about avoiding blisters, because I talk about socks on that as well, so that will be useful. I'm just going to take my watch off because it's clattering on the desk here. And now we're going to talk about, on that video I talk about my sock regime as double socking. So what I'm suggesting here, I'm not saying this is the only way to go with socks. I'm not saying these socks are the ones to use. I'm just sharing a little bit of food for thought, and there's a couple of things on this which I think are worth thinking about. So I generally go for a very thin liner sock, and these are like the sort of socks guys would wear for business. You know, they're just a thin sock. There are 2 different types that I like. These ones are actually from Kathmandu, an Australian retailer. They're okay. They're a blended sock with a bit of merino in it. I also have a pair that look identically like this from Icebreaker, which have a heavier component of merino in them. But they are quite a high component of wool. They're thin. They help the moisture wick away from the feet. So I have a couple of different ones of those. I should have brought in some better looking socks. Sorry, this is a very old pair that I just pulled off the washing line. Again, these are from Kathmandu. Doesn't really matter. You can buy socks anywhere. The thing is, they are a much thicker sock, and they're quite a heavy wool blend. And I have 2 or 3 different versions of these. Like all gear suppliers, they keep changing them, which is really annoying, because I like these old ones. I don't like the new ones as much. So the key here is there's a thin inner sock and a thicker wool outer sock. That's the sort of regime I've always used from day one. Why? The purpose of this video is not to sort of go through all the blister prevention again. That video's up there. But the reason is, if you wear 2 socks, let me just go back a step, you're going to get blisters if you get a lot of friction in your footwear. And friction against the skin. Double socking helps prevent that, because you get the socks rubbing together, not your feet and the socks, or you know, the surface of the footwear and so on. It just gives an extra layer of things to sort of move around, so that you're not getting that friction, if that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not putting it very well. So I found that works extremely well for me. The other thing, and look, please don't think I have a commercial interest in this. I don't. I just love the product. I also use hiker's wool, and that's mentioned on the avoiding blisters video as well. I've gone a bit nuts ordering stuff. I seem to have about 6 packets of this for some reason. So I was thinking we should run a competition to give some hiker's wool away. That might be a little bit difficult to do on YouTube, so I think what I might do is carry a couple of extra bags of it on my next Camino. And if I bump into people who are having problems with hot spots, I'll give it away to them. So I think I've got enough here to last my next 6 Caminos. But anyway, let's get back to the socks. The point that I want to make about socks is take different ones. So let me explain that. And I do the same thing with underwear, funnily enough, for the same reason. Just imagine you are wearing exactly the same brand of liner sock and exactly the same brand of outer sock day in, day out. What can happen is, depending on how the sock is made and you know how well they fit you, you know, they've got seams in particular places, they've got you know, thin and thick parts in different places, and you could get irritation from the socks. So for example, this has a little bit of a seam here near the big toe. If I'm wearing these day in, day out, every day, maybe after a week or 2 weeks, that's going to start causing a hot spot. Or maybe the particular fit you know, isn't great on the heel or something, you know. The point that I'm making is that if you wear exactly the same socks day after day, week after week, it can create a little bit of a problem with rubbing and hot spots and so on. How do I get around that? I carry different socks. So I carry 3 complete sets of socks. So I think a lot of people carry 2 because you're going to be wearing 1 set. I'm calling it a set because I've got an inner and an outer. You're going to be wearing 1 set while you're walking that day. As you finish the day, you get to your accommodation, you're going to be washing the socks that you wore today, and you've got another pair of socks, probably identical, that you're going to wear tomorrow. I don't carry identical ones because I want to give my feet a little bit of a break. I want to give them a different sensation day after day. So I'll have a set of those. The inners, they look identical, but I have 2 different inners. But I'll swapping around the outers, so I've got those ones. And then I have, oh, sorry, I'm knocking stuff over. And then I have these ones from Icebreaker. These are quite unusual because it's got a little L on it. It's got left and right feet. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera. They are foot-shaped. They're not a sock that will fit either foot. You know, there's a traditional sock. Doesn't matter, you can wear it on the left or the right. This one is the left foot, and you know, the right foot is obviously a different shape. I find these socks really comfortable. And so, you know, every other day, every 3rd day, I'll be wearing those ones. And then I also have these. These ones are actually from Wigwam. The others don't have, oh, that's an Icebreaker sock. These are Camino Socks. This one is a Wigwam sock. I'm not promoting any particular brand here. There's so many socks out there. You go to a good hiking shop, you're going to find lots of variety. But these are really comfortable and just a slightly different fit again. So when I'm walking, I've got 3 different outer socks and a couple of different inner socks, and I might rotate them. What can happen is that you'll find there's a favourite. and you know, maybe for a few days I'll go, oh, I really like the feel of these ones. And so, you know, I'm hoping they're dry for the next day because I want to wear them again. But you know, they are all comfortable. They're all socks that I've tried many, many times in previous Caminos, practice walks and so on. So I know they're all comfortable. And just rotating them just puts, you know, different pressures and things on my feet, and it eases the feet and gives the feet a break. You know, they feel different. You know, it's a nice feeling on your feet. Your feet are going to feel a bit different one day, a bit fresher maybe. So that's the point I wanted to make about socks. When you've picked your socks, maybe you can't decide, you know, I like those, which one should I take? Well, take a pair of each and alternate them. The danger is, of course, you're going to prefer one over another, but, you know, them's the breaks. Maybe take 3 pairs or something. So there we go. That was the key point about socks. Not promoting any particular type of sock, brand of sock, but maybe just think about having different ones that you can take with you. Obviously, if you are like me and you double sock, it's certainly not going to work for me if I'm using a liner and an outer, and then the next day all I'm going to do is wear those, because it's not going to fill the shoe the same volume as those would. So, you know, it's a liner and outer, a liner with a different outer, a liner, you know, with yet another different outer. So if you're wearing single socks, you know, 3 different types of single socks. I'm now getting to the point where I'm rabbiting too much, so it was time to cut this video short because I want to get on and talk about shoes. But before we leave the topic of socks, what socks do you like to wear? What sock tips do you have? Do you like wearing long socks, short ones? Maybe you have some tips to share with the viewers as well, do comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.